There's all sorts of confusion when it comes to Roth IRAs. Hi, this is Sean Mullaney. Let's discuss one very particular part of this confusion, Roth conversions, and can we access them after age 59 and a half? So meet Ty. Ty is confused about his Roth IRA. Here's what Ty did. Ty was 50 years old in the year 2009. He heard about the Roth IRA. He's like, oh, I ought to get me one of those. He goes to ABC Financial Institution. He says, hey guys, I want to open one of these Roth IRAs. Here's $3,000, put it in there. He never does anything. Maybe follow-up isn't exactly Ty's strong suit, so he never does anything else with Roth IRAs since coming into 2024. No distributions, no contributions. By 2024, his ABC Roth IRA is worth $6,500. Okay, great. In 2024, the Roth IRA comes back on his radar, and he does an interesting transaction. He says, I've got an old 401k. You know what I'm going to do with that old traditional 401k, fully deductible, no basis, worth $100,000. I'm going to transfer it into a new Roth IRA at XYZ institution. Okay, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's fully taxable, but that's a valid financial planning move. I'm not here to say it's optimal or suboptimal. It's something people can do, and Ty decided to do that, right? That's at XYZ. It's a second Roth IRA for him. In 2025, Ty goes to XYZ and he says, you know what? See that now $110,000 Roth IRA? I want to take $20,000 out of it. All right, so he takes $20,000 out of it. At that time, it was worth $110,000. It goes down to $90,000. He separately still has the ABC Roth IRA sitting there. It's worth $7,000. And now Ty's starting to think about it. He's like, wait a minute. I heard about some 5-year rule in Roth conversions. Am I subject to an income tax? Am I subject to a penalty? Well, all right, we got to step back and look at some of the law when it comes to the Roth IRA rules, right? So the first thing is this. Ty would tell you that he has 2 Roth IRAs. And I would say Ty's pretty accurate in that assessment. However, the IRS and Congress might slightly disagree, right? There's a code section. I'll link to this in the description below. This code section basically tells us, look, all your Roth IRAs are treated as one. They're aggregated. So, when we're thinking about this $20,000 distribution, we got to think about the ABC Roth IRA and the XYZ Roth IRA as being one smushed Roth IRA, right? Just the rules. That is what it is, right? I'll link to this code section in the description below. So now let's address the potential early withdrawal penalty, right? There's this 10% penalty that applies to some Roth IRA, traditional IRA distributions. It comes from code section 72T, and it says, look, you take money out of that thing, it's a 10% withdrawal penalty. Well, that don't sound good, but don't worry, never fear, we've got an exception. That does not apply if this little thing applies, right? If we are 59 and a half or older when we take the money out of the Roth IRA or any other retirement account, qualified IRA, that sort of thing. Well, guess what? If I go to Ty's fact pattern, he's 65 in the year 2024. In 2025, he took this money out, so he's either 65 or 66. Great, no problem, well over 59 and a half, no early withdrawal penalty. And we're going to come back to that early withdrawal penalty. Okay. Then you say, well, wait a minute, though. This is more than, isn't this going to be subject to income tax, right? He did this less than 5 years, right? I thought we had a 5-year rule. So isn't he going to have to pay income tax on all or some of that $20,000? Well, there's a way around income tax when we have a Roth IRA. There's a couple ways, actually, but the big one is a qualified distribution. That basically says, let's go to the Internal Revenue Code to see what it says, right? The Internal Revenue Code says a qualified distribution is not includable in gross income. That means that's a fancy way of saying it's not subject to ordinary income tax. Really good. So we want a qualified distribution. Can Ty qualify for one? Well, look what a qualified distribution is. It's a distribution from a Roth IRA made on or after the date the guy turns 59 and a half. Ty's in his mid-60s. Check the box. Well, wait a minute. We got to read on. There's this thing called the non-exclusion period. We don't get a qualified distribution, which is a fancy way of saying fully tax-free. Don't worry about it. If we haven't owned a Roth IRA, right? A Roth IRA, any Roth IRA, for at least 5 years. Well, let's go back to Ty. Ty's owned a Roth IRA. That's another video. But anyway, so Ty's owned a Roth IRA since the year 2009. This is 2025. That's 16 years by my math, whatever. It's way more than 5. So he's got a qualified distribution. That's a fancy way of saying Ty can only take qualified distributions from his Roth IRA, regardless of how stuff got in there, because he meets 59.5 and he meets 5. So any distribution, regardless of where it comes from, how it got there, contributions, conversions, earnings, doesn't matter. Any distribution, anytime, Ty's in his mid-60s, meets the 5-year rule, it's all just tax and penalty free. Done. Right? Now, people get hung up. They say, that's a Roth conversion, though. So isn't it subject to a 5-year rule? Well, there is a 5-year rule on Roth conversions. But as we go to the regulation, and I'll put all these sites in the description below, that's not a problem either, because we go to this regulation Q&A 5B. It tells us what that Roth, that conversion 5-year rule is all about. It's all about the early withdrawal penalty. Back to the 72T, back to the exception for 59.5. Yes, it's technically subject to a 5-year lockup, but all that means is if you violate the 5-year lockup, you pay the 10% early withdrawal penalty. Well, you only pay that, though, if and only if you're 59 or you're under 59.5 years old. Ty's in his mid-60s. He's all good. So Ty pays no tax and no penalty when he takes money out of his Roth IRA, even though most of it came from a Roth conversion that's well under 5 years old. Hope this cleared up just a little bit of confusion out there on Roth IRAs. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please mash that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.